There's something that you need to know about this year's Republican candidates. If I tell you, however, I may have to kill you. It turns out there are a lot of secret agents, fake secret agents, running for office this year, running for major offices. They're connected. They're on the inside, and they've seen and done things that mere mortals like you and I can only dream of. Today, the Associated Press revealed the identity of one of these fake secret agents among us. In today's political headlines, sure, Christine O'Donnell is just the Tea Party-financed insurgent candidate who upset their prohibitive favorite in the Delaware Republican Senate primary. But in 2006, Christine O'Donnell let slip that she was fake secret agent 001. At the time, Christine O'Donnell was a perennial protest candidate running in election after election after election and losing every time. And that year, in one of her many tries at running for the United States Senate, Christine O'Donnell blindsided her Republican opponent at a debate with this claim. Quote, China has a carefully thought out and strategic plan to take over America. If they pretend to be our friend, it's because they've got something up their sleeve. China plotting to take over America. How does Christine O'Donnell know about this plot? Quote, there's much I want to say. I wish I wasn't privy to some of the classified information that I am privy to. According to the Associated Press, when her Republican opponent challenged her claim about having access to classified information, Ms. O'Donnell suggested she had received it through nonprofit groups she worked with that frequently sent missionaries to China. We called Christine O'Donnell's campaign today to try to find out which specific nonprofit groups she had worked with that had access to classified information about Chinese plots to take over America. So far, we have not heard back. What we do know about Christine O'Donnell's past work with nonprofits is that she worked for groups that promoted the idea that homosexuality can be cured through religious boot camps, groups that promoted the idea that having sex alone is a form of adultery, groups that promoted the idea that using condoms actually spreads HIV, and groups that promoted the idea that allowing women to join the military harms national security. That's what we know about Christine O'Donnell's work with nonprofit groups. That's what's on the public record. We contacted the State Department today to find out if being associated with groups that advocate stuff like that would normally, or in the specific case of Christine O'Donnell, make the U.S. government disclose classified information to a citizen about secret Chinese plans to take over America. The State Department apparently has not found anything for us yet. We will keep you posted. Fake secret agent case file number 2 was revealed today by the Syracuse Post-Standard newspaper in Syracuse, New York. Fake secret agent 002 is current Republican candidate for governor of New York State, Carl Palladino. The year was 1970. After 4 students were shot by National Guardsmen at Kent State University in May of that year, the campus of Syracuse University, where Carl Palladino was attending law school, was no exception to national unrest that swept many campuses across the country. This picture shows a student takeover of a Syracuse University administration building that day. On May 7th, students occupied the chancellor's office in that building. They stayed there overnight, and then everybody left the next day. Agent Palladino, however, has just revealed that in his mind, not only did things go really differently than what everybody else remembers and what was in the papers at the time that it happened, Agent Palladino has also revealed that he, fake secret agent Carl Palladino, had a super important secret agent role in how things went down that day. In his mind, fake secret agent Carl Palladino told the Syracuse Post-Standard last week that while working fake undercover with the Syracuse police, he was a negotiator during a hostage standoff as riots enveloped the campus. That day back in May 1970, quote, when the riots came, I was the one who negotiated for the police chief to take the place of the school's chancellor, who the students had locked down in the administration building. I went out and found them and I said, you know, take the police commissioner and let the chancellor go home. The guy's got to take a shower. I mean, for God's sakes. So they said, yeah, okay. According to actual reports at the time, no, Carl, no. The school's chancellor was never held hostage, for one. Also, nobody else but Carl remembers Carl having any role in the protests or the resolution of the protests at all. A current Syracuse history professor who was at the administration building that day told the Syracuse Post-Standard, quote, That's completely wrong. He's either living in cloud cuckoo land, or shall we say, his historical memory is clouded by whatever it is. One of Carl Palladino's classmates, who was also at the administration building that day, said, quote, "I have the feeling that this may be an urban legend in Carl's mind." This unveiling today of Carl Palladino as this year's fake secret agent #2 follows the unveiling earlier this year of fake secret agent 003. Dan Mays, the Republican candidate for governor of Colorado. You may remember earlier this year, Dan Mays made himself nationally famous by claiming to have been an undercover agent for Kansas. Once upon a time, Mr. Mays wrote on his campaign website, quote, "At one point in my 2 years there, I was placed undercover by the Kansas Bureau of Investigations to gather information inside a bookmaking ring that was also allegedly selling drugs. I got too close to some significant people in the community who were involved in these activities and abruptly was dismissed from my position." I was placed undercover, he says, by the Kansas Bureau of Investigations. After the Kansas Bureau of Investigations came out and said, "No, not true," Dan Mays admitted to the Denver Post, quote, "Some people are probably taking that a little too literally. Those comments," meaning his own comments, "might have been incorrect comments." Failing to recognize that a hole that you keep digging just keeps getting deeper, the Dan Mays campaign for Colorado governor to this day keeps releasing more and more information about his time as a fake secret agent for Kansas. All of which continues to prove that Mr. Mays did not work as a fake secret agent, in Kansas. And what he was fired for was tipping off his girlfriend at the time that the police were going to investigate her family. So fake secret agent 003, Dan Mays, now repeatedly outing himself as a fake secret agent. And then there's fake secret agent 004, a gentleman named Allen West, a Republican congressional candidate in the great state of Florida. During a candidate forum last month, Allen West, a retired Army lieutenant colonel, made this remarkable claim about his own secret agent status.
I had a top secret security compartmented information classification. That's the highest you can have in the United States Army. I still maintain a secret security clearance. And I tell you, if you look at the application for a security clearance, I have a clearance that even the President of the United States cannot obtain because of my background.
Are you from another country? Because President's kind of the clearance level. He's nuclear football. I have a clearance that the President of the United States cannot attain? That's like saying you're even more magically delicious than the Lucky Charms leprechaun. That makes no sense. You cannot have a higher security clearance than the President of the United States in the United States, unless you're in Allen West's mind. Listen, one of the really fun things about a year like this in conservative politics is that establishment candidates have been getting routed by people who are really, 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 really not establishment candidates. Republican Congressman Mike Castle got beat by Christine O'Donnell in Delaware. In New York, Rick Lazio got beat by Carl Palladino. Former Republican Congressman Scott McInnes of Colorado got beat by Dan Mays. In Florida, the more moderate David Brady got beat by the more extreme Allen West. When really outside candidates like that are beating establishment candidates over and over and over again, it sort of blows up the party machinery. It blows up the establishment. The Republican Party has not had much of a say this year about who is representing the Republican Party on big ticket races. And that begs a very unlikely question. Was the Republican Party the machinery that was keeping folks like this out of national races? Did we just lose the delusional person thinks he's a secret agent, but he really isn't filter that we didn't know we needed until we lost ours? Joining us now is Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for the Washington Post and MSNBC contributor, my friend Eugene Robinson. Gene, it's great to see you.
It's great to be here, Rachel.
This is one of those stories where, wow, I can't believe these people think they're secret agents. That's so crazy. That's not even real politics. But these are real politicians running for real office.
Yeah, these are real politicians running for real office. They could win, and they could be representing actual U.S. citizens in the U.S. Senate or as governor of a great state. And you know, you use the word delusional, and I don't know if that might not be fairly mild about some of this stuff. Now, hold it. First of all, though, are you cleared for this discussion, Rachel?
Well, Gene, I've been meaning actually to talk to you about
Okay, you're cool.
Okay.
And no, I mean, the Christine O'Donnell thing, you know, I'm privy to classified information about the Chinese plot to take over America. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be serious.
Well, at some point, I mean, I was looking into this about trying to be specific about the language here, because when, for example, with Alan West had raised millions of dollars for his campaign. He completely outspent the more moderate Republican candidate who he'd beat very badly in the primary. And that Republican, the moderate Republican, came out and said as soon as West won that he believes, and he said it in a very serious way, that he believes that Alan West is irrational. If you're dealing with people who are delusional, who believe they have secret classified information that says the Chinese are invading, at some point, is there something beyond politics that should happen there?
No, there is. I mean, you know, reason should happen there, and we should all be concerned, and establishment Republicans should be concerned, because these people could be making decisions as leaders of our government. I mean, that concerns me when somebody who does not seem to have, you know, a firm purchase on reality, or alternately, who just makes stuff up, is, you know, that should be concerning, I think, to everyone, aside from, you know, Republicans, Democrats, who's up, who's down. I mean, we can talk about that some other time, but we're talking about reality. We're talking about, you know, logic and empirical, you know, reality.
Well, here's the strategic question, though. If you're a Democrat running against one of these people, when I say beyond politics, at a certain point, do you stop campaigning against their policy proposals? Do you stop taking them, engaging with them as if they are a politician, and start saying, listen, I'm not going to engage with them on a political level because I think that we've got a person who is delusional, or who has mental health issues, or who seriously is not engaging with whom I cannot engage in a factual debate?
Well, you know, I don't know that you can quite do that. I mean, because the machinery of politics, I think it's probably a mistake and counterproductive to kind of halt the machinery of politics and say, you know, we can't run against this person because this person is delusional. And because, in fact, if you stop, the delusional person could win.
Especially with the money that these guys are raising.
Exactly, with all this money, by the way, coming, you know, Tea Party money that's coming from, you know, billionaires and from shadowy corporate groups that don't disclose their donors. So no, you have to continue politics. But what needs to happen, I think, is that people need to call them out on these sorts of irrational, non-linear statements that they're making, and point it out to people and just say, look, you know, I know you're mad, I know you're angry, but come on, there's, you know, elect angry people who make sense. Don't elect angry people who are crazy or who seem to be crazy, because we're all going to be sorry if you do that.
That's this year's new bumper sticker. Don't elect people who might be crazy, and I don't mean it as a euphemism. Crazy is not a euphemism. That would be a good bumper sticker.
Exactly. Crazy is not a euphemism. Crazy.
That, I think the merchandising possibilities are endless there.
Absolutely.